So you mentioned a new Marvel book. Can you tease what it is?
I don't know that they announced that I'm doing the cover for it, but it's involved. It's a character I created called Echo for Marvel that's getting her own TV show at Disney Plus this year. So I'm doing an Echo cover for a book that will be, I'm guessing out soon.
Hi, this is Ashley Victoria Robinson coming to you live from the Popverse here at Emerald City Comic Con, and I am here with writer, artist, director, designer behind Kabuki, Norse Mythology, Jessica Jones, Fight Club, Daredevil, pretty much everything that you've ever liked, this man has worked on. David Mack, how is your Emerald City Comic Con going?
I love that introduction, thank you. No, it's been great. It's been 5 years since I've been here. It's so amazing. Like, I had 1 full hour of it so far, and it's been incredible.
You are a Renaissance man, a multidisciplinary artist. What is your day-to-day like? How does your workflow go on a project?
It just depends. Yesterday I turned in a cover for a manga book. I'm working on a Marvel book right now. I've got some other publisher covers due next week, and the last few weeks before that I was working on a new TV show that I can't talk about. I wish I could tell you. It's super exciting. But yeah, just trying to problem solve as it comes in, and then just trying to deal with it.
So you mentioned a new Marvel book. Can you tease what it is?
I don't know that they announced that I'm doing the cover for it, but it's involved. It's a character I created called Echo for Marvel that's getting her own TV show at Disney Plus this year. So I'm doing an Echo cover for a book that will be, I'm guessing out soon. But I started at Marvel on this series called Daredevil. I started as a writer on Daredevil, and they asked me to create a new character, created Echo. I started doing art for it as well, and I'm real excited that there's going to be a TV series with her.
Did you ever have any idea when you started building out Echo as a human being and she was just an idea in your head that it was going to go to the small screen?
I had some hopes or ideas, it was like 1999 when that book came out. So I had ideas of who might portray her, at that time. Totally different now. I'm super impressed by the actress that portrays her, Alakwa Cox. The character is deaf and indigenous, and so is the actress. I thought she did an amazing job on the Hawkeye series.
When I think of your work, I first think of the Alias covers that you did, which obviously went on to inspire Jessica Jones. You worked on Jessica Jones. When you were doing cover artist work versus like interiors or writing, what is challenging or special about creating those striking images?
No, that's a really good point. Like when I'm writing a book or drawing a book, that's one set of challenges. But when you're doing a cover for the book, I'm doing an image that I hope will, if they're seeing it in real life on a shelf, I'm hoping it will make them walk over to it and pick it up. And if they're seeing it online, I'm hoping it'll make them click on it and look at it closer. So I'm putting in everything I can for it to call to them and grab them. But you're also kind of setting the stage for how they'll be reading the book. Almost like when you're doing, I worked on the opening titles for the Jessica Jones Netflix as well. And you're kind of also thinking, you're preparing them mentally for how they're going to be, what state of mind they should be in for watching the show. So I think of the cover somewhat as opening titles, for a show as well. Whereas on the Winter Soldier, the film The Winter Soldier, I did the film art for that, but that one's at the end of the movie. So it has a different challenge. You're just kind of trying to crystallize some feelings and emotions at the end for, punctuate it for when they walk out feeling good,
It's almost more nostalgic than inviting, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we've talked to Marvel Land. I want to talk to you, of course, about Kabuki. It has been adapted for the stage. There is a perfume line at Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. Shout out to my former employer.
Nice.
Can you tell us anything about, it's been in development for a long time. What is next for Kabuki?
Yeah, Kabuki has, it first came out in 1994, published as a comic, and ever since then it's been optioned for, back then it was being optioned for film. It was at Fox for years and years, many options at Fox. At one point, Quentin Tarantino's producer, Lawrence Bender, wanted to film Kabuki. At one point, I had the option with Neil Gaiman and his producers. Currently, we're adapting it as a TV series. It was with Sony for a while for a TV series. Right now, it's I shouldn't say too much, but yeah, right now it's under option as well, and we're developing it for a TV series.
For TV, I love that so much. Okay, you have done so much amazing work. I said at the top on everybody's favorite characters, but are there any characters from any publisher that you haven't had a chance to touch yet that you're really dying to work on?
So maybe like 20 years ago, I had an invitation to write a Batman story, and I was too busy to write it.
You're blessed.
and since then I've done some covers for Batman.
Yeah.
But I would love to do a full Batman story at some point when I get a chance.
Okay, so everybody go tweet at DC Comics that we want David Mack writing a Batman story, and maybe if they're really nice, maybe doing some more covers. We're going to make it happen for you.
Yeah, I like that. Count me in for that.
What is your advice to aspiring artists, creatives, writers, animators, any of the multi-hyphenates that you're involved in who want to break in?
Yeah, if you haven't done it already, I just say do it. And if you haven't started your project, do it. And a lot of people think too much about it. They start trying to bite off a more than they can chew, and they start thinking about doing a really big project.
Yeah.
And what I say to them is just start with instead of thinking you're going to do a 5-issue series to start with, just start with like an 8-page story or a 6-page story or a 2-page story, a 4-page story. So that's like something that you can go by the end of this weekend, I'm going to have a 2-page story. Mm-hmm. And it's only 2 pages long, and it's something I can completely finish. But it also teaches you the discipline of the economy of the real estate of that page. If you think you have an unlimited amount of space, mm-hmm. you're not learning as quickly about how to edit and squeeze in and be economical about the space. So by limiting yourself to just a set amount of pages, somewhere between 2 and 8, mm-hmm. it really forces you to consider what you have to leave out and what's the most important thing to leave in. Mm-hmm. And it really teaches you the ratio of text to image for a page, but it also gets something done.
Yeah.
When I was doing Kabuki, I was only writing it, and I was looking for artists to draw it. And at one point, Brian Bendis and I have been friends for 30 years, yes. Since 1993. And when I met him, he was trying to make a living as an artist. And for a while, we worked together as a penciler inker team in the early 90s. And he was going to be the artist on Kabuki back then.
Wow.
So I had there was an anthology book that asked me to do an 8-page story. And I thought, with 8 pages, that is something that I could write and draw. If I could draw only 8 pages, so yeah. I thought the real artist is going to do the real Kabuki series. I'll do an 8-page story, and it'll help me figure out costumes, design, atmosphere, and it'll be a helpful sort of little, interpretation for the real artist to use as a starting point. So I did a little 8-page story in an anthology. And another anthology asked me to do an 8-page story, so I did another 8-page story, and soon I had 4 8-page stories. Uh-huh. And then my publisher said, "Why don't you just put all 4 of those 8-page stories in one 32-page book?"
Yeah, I was thinking 4 times 8 is.
and then it's a one-shot, and I thought, okay, the real artist is going to do the real series, but I could do this little one-shot. And so I put them together. They weren't even necessarily sequentially. So if you look back at that first Kabuki story, there's 4 8-page stories. Each one has a different title, uh-huh. but it kind of works together as these 4 little vignettes. And then it was successful, the bestseller of that publisher, mm-hmm. and he was like, "Hey, we need you to do." So I kind of just tricked myself into doing the art for the whole series, just 8 pages at a time.
I was going to say, joke's on you, you were the real artist all along.
I like that. So, I was searching for the real artist, and it was me.
It was inside you the whole time. Yeah. My final question, because here in the Popverse, we celebrate the best in TV, movies, and comics. What are you geeking out about right now that you're not working on? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, yeah. What do we love right now? We just started watching this new Christoph Waltz TV show. We only saw the first episode yesterday. It was pretty cool and clever. We watched this movie called Vengeance recently, which was a pleasant surprise. Mm-hmm. Really enjoyed that. And so I really enjoyed hearing the filmmakers talk about what was behind the making of it. And like I said, I'm only 1 episode into that Christoph Waltz TV show, so I'm intrigued, enough to follow it. But
okay, so at the next Emerald City Comic Con, I'll ask you if you liked all of it at the end. Yeah. David Mack, thank you so much for joining us today here in the Popverse.
It was a delight. Thank you.